A couple of weeks ago on our Polish channel, we received a very interesting question. What challenges are faced by architecture today? Is still constructing the tallest skyscraper considered the biggest achievement? And this episode will be devoted solely to this issue. What are the challenges of today's architecture, of the architecture of the 21st century? And of course, building a world record in skyscraper height is mind-blowing achievement. It's something amazing. The building that now holds the title of the tallest structure is, of course, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It is easily recognizable. Everyone knows that it stands in Dubai. It is an iconic building just because it is the tallest. So, yes, building something that is 829 meters tall is an extraordinary achievement for both the architects and the structural engineers, who of course have to make it safe and livable and even possible to build. And yes, there is another skyscraper whose aim is to break the record of Burj Khalifa. It is called the Jeddah Tower. It is being built in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Now it is around 60 floors tall, so there is 100 floors to go, because it is also believed to be finally over 160 stories tall. It is speculated that it will measure more than 1,000 meters. Some say that it will be 1,008 meters tall. So even the leap between Burj Khalifa and Jeddah Tower will be around 180 meters, so more than the building in which we are now, the Rondo 1 in Warsaw, built by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill a couple of years ago, which is to the roof 159. So the difference between the first and the second will be more than a couple of really tall buildings that are being constructed around the world. It is something that gives me shivers to think about the enormous challenge. But let's face the truth. For most of the people, the tallest building in the world is an anecdote. It's an icon of a city far, far away, something that they will see probably only on the internet or in the newspaper. Maybe some will go to check out the view from the top, and that's it. It will be a home or a place to stay in a hotel or a place of work for around a couple thousand people. But there are billions of people in the world. And there can only be one tallest building at a time. And to me and to Natalia, with whom I prepared these videos, the biggest challenge is not to build one interesting, recognizable, unique building. The challenge is, how do we construct hundreds of thousands, if not millions, new buildings that are built every year in order to fulfill the demands of the people today and of the people of tomorrow. And, well, current construction industry, architecture are one of the biggest pollutants. Production of steel and concrete, so the basic two structural materials, amounts to around 13% of total global CO2 emissions. And you have bricks and you have insulation. All the materials that are needed to construct a modern building are consuming Earth's resources and are very expensive, not only in terms of just money that have to be put into these buildings by their investors and developers, but also they're very expensive in terms of the environmental impact. And the biggest question for me is not how do we make new buildings a little bit more eco-friendly, but do we really need all those new buildings? Now we construct more buildings than ever in the history of mankind. Aren't all those buildings necessary? What do I mean by that? Let me introduce you to my hometown, Warsaw, the capital of Poland, just under 2 million inhabitants, one of the largest cities in Central and Eastern Europe, but by no means a large office market when you compare it to other cities in Western Europe. We in Warsaw have around 5,300,000 square meters of office space. Right now we are in one of the most prestigious and largest office buildings in Warsaw, the Rondo 1, which is located here. Roughly the area considered to be the city center is here. The exact spot where, when you ask someone from Warsaw where is the center, probably will be this place just in front of the social realist giant, the Palace of Culture and Science, which will be our hero, our protagonist in one of the future episodes. So we have 5,300,000 square meters of office space. Right now, over 760,000 square meters of new office space is being built and developed, mostly around this place. Just recently, a new line of the underground has been constructed, which connected this formerly industrial backwater of the district of Wola to the rest of the city center and to the other districts in the north and in the south. And this became a huge magnet for developers. Around half of this new volume of office space is being built in skyscrapers. So for me, as an architect, it is a wonderful situation. I'm glad, I'm happy to see my city develop. New buildings being built all around very rapidly. The rate of growth is the biggest that has ever been seen in Warsaw. So yes, this is one can say that this is perfect time to be an architect in this place. But at the same time, when we are building 760,000 square meters of new office space, we have over 600,000 square meters of office space that is empty, that is available, that isn't leased. And this is an average of 11.7%. It is not considered very much. The rate of this unleased office space is declining because there is still very high market demand for new office space. But if we look at the place when the office building boom started in Warsaw, the painting starts to get really shady. This is the place. It is affectionately called Mordor, as the land in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and I will explain to you why. This was, as in case of Wola, this was some industrial backwater of the town by the communist era. Some large-scale production buildings were being built there. It was a bit underdeveloped, and after the fall of the Iron Curtain in 1989, this was the place with the most readily available empty spaces where you can build office buildings very easily. It's connected very well to the airport. Very good place to start construction of your offices. And from 1989 up to today, around 80 office buildings and office complexes have been built here. Around 70,000 people work here every day. But because this was an industrial backwater, this was an underdeveloped, misused place, and virtually no investment has been made in the infrastructure here, this place became a nightmare for many of the people who have to commute here every day. There is virtually no public transportation inside, only on the perimeter of the area. You can go with a tram or with a bus. The streets are too narrow to hold this massive influx of around 37,000 cars that come to this place every day. If you even decide to come not by public transport but by car, there is very little parking spaces. So every morning there is a battle between owners of cars who gets the best illegal parking places, because the parking places are so scarce that people leave their cars wherever they can. So this is a traffic commuting nightmare, and the buildings are often separated by fences, so the area doesn't look good. If you step out of your building, you transfer it in time to before 1989 very easily. So let's imagine that we are a manager of a company and we have, I don't know, around 3,000 square meters of office here. If my leasing agreement ends, what incentive do I have to stay with my company here? Virtually no. Communication is bad. There is virtually no investment on the side of the city to improve the communication here. The buildings are starting to become older and older because they can have 15, 20, or soon they will be 30 years old. So what holds me here? Nothing. And many companies have started moving from Służewiec Przemysłowy, from this old office area, to those new office hubs that are being built here for the last couple of years. And here the rate of available space, of empty office space, is at 20%, and the rates are lowest. So, what does it mean? In a couple of years, we can see that here we do not have 20% of empty office space, but maybe 30 or 35. We will start to see things that are already seen in Western metropolises. Empty buildings, empty parks, and not only office buildings, commercial buildings, production facilities, storage facilities, all those types of buildings that are being constructed over and over will also be available readily and declining in quality and getting older and older. And to us, the question that is faced by architecture is how we build today buildings that will be as attractive or as interesting for the future users as they are to us now. Because a building lasts longer than a leasing agreement of 10 or 15 years. The building lasts for 40, 50, 80 years, and we cannot afford to have millions of square meters of empty spaces and still construct new buildings because our planet does not have the needed resources. And we will give our children and our grandchildren millions of square meters of office space and of buildings that will remain empty and will be declining in front of their very eyes. How to build buildings that anticipate the changing demands, the changing needs of the employees, the residents, the users of tomorrow? I'm afraid that there is no good answer. And this is the question that keeps architects up at night and also architectural scholars up at night. How do we construct buildings not for today, or not only for today, but also for the future? Thank you for watching this episode. Today we have been guests of CBRE here in Rondo 1. We have an episode about Rondo 1, which has been designed by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. It is in Polish, but it has English subtitles. You can find it here, so I hope that you will enjoy it. We are planning to post new videos more often, and our next topic will be the Soviet architecture of the Palace of Culture and Science here in the city center. So I hope that you will check out our channel soon. And I promise to at least try and post new videos more often than previously. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.